right, guys. I'm not sure if you saw the tournament this last weekend, but it was an amazing shootout down the stretch with Dustin Johnson and Jordan Spieth. Wow, it's like a replay of the 2015 U.S. Open, but this time DJ emerged victorious. On the 18th hole in regulation, DJ hit one of the biggest slices I've ever seen him hit into the rough on the right side of the fairway. That's not saying a lot. It just curved a little more than it normally does. He hits a pretty straight ball that falls to the right. But in the playoff, they went back to 18, and Jordan Spieth piped it right down the middle like he did the last time. And then Dustin Johnson took a line over the water, and I assumed he hit it in the water. He just blasted it 341 yards right over the water. It was a David and Goliath moment, and in this instance, Goliath won. So I wanted to take a look at this amazing golf swing. Dustin Johnson is one of my favorite players. He's very, very long. When I see him at the pro tournaments, he is often hitting driver 6-iron into par 5s where other guys are hitting 3 woods and 5 woods. It's pretty remarkable. And most recently, he's become a very good wedge player. And that's what's really taken him to the next level these last couple of years. But let's take a look at his full swing and talk about his power, because he is pretty amazing. So one of the things we're going to notice is Dustin Johnson has a very strong left-hand grip, and he bows his wrists a great deal at the top of the backswing. That's the thrower's position. Like, we're going to throw the handle kind of like if we were throwing a ball. And so he just cocks those wrists into the throwing position the whole way. I think it's kind of an easy way to get ready to swing the club. I played some really good golf like this back in the day. But at any rate, yeah, that was when I first started my swing evolution. Then I started to roll my wrists into the cup like Ben Hogan. But the first thing we're going to see with Dustin Johnson is we're going to see a forward press here. So he pushes his hands forward quite a bit, and he lifts the club head off the ground. What this is going to do is it's going to create some space. When we're set up at the ball, if you were to go straight back, very oftentimes the club would dig into the ground. So you have to either caddy drag it or do what Mr. Johnson's doing right here to create a little bit of space so that club doesn't stick in the ground. And wow, so he's already moved that club back quite a bit. And you can really see how strong that left-hand grip is in this picture. So he's going to move around that right leg. He's not going to move or sway at all. He has a really, really good turn. This is one of the things that I admire so much about Dustin Johnson. He's a natural athlete. I've heard he can dunk a basketball off of one leg. But as we see him turn, his shoulders are already past 90. It looks to me like he turns his hips off the ball quite a bit more than most modern players. It's not restricted as much as, say, for example, a Jason Day. I like this, personally. But look how much extra shoulder rotation it gets him. It gets his left shoulder over his right shoe. That's what Mr. Hogan used to try and do. But just a note, Dustin Johnson, I've been told, stretches 2 times a day. He probably stretches before his playing, and he probably stretches a session afterwards. And it's crucial. He has so much spine twist and so much flexibility. But it's just amazing to be able to get that much movement. Now, if we look at this shot here, I mean, I love how his arms are past vertical. It's just amazing how far he's turned. So all that stored power is just waiting to explode into the ball. Here he gets left. Now, notice this right elbow, how it goes under. This is really amazing. And, I mean, it looks to me like he's just slapping a baseball out there. You see that left leg straightens as that right knee goes in towards the ball. And he just holds that face off. That super strong grip that we saw at address, we can see it here. He's got that right hand under. With that strong a grip, this is a hold off drive shot right here. I mean, it's like, now he's hitting a fade. He used to hit a draw, but I bet that's why he probably moved to the fade, is with that really strong grip. When you have that moment of disaster, it probably can be really, really bad. But DJ's hitting the ball really so well now. So we'll look at a fairway wood here. Now I want to talk about his move. We have the same move where he clears a little bit of space. His hips don't thrust super far forward the way that the classic swingers do. He's kind of a blend of modern and classic. Again, I like the free use of his lower body and the way he turns around there. He's flexible enough that he doesn't have to lift that left foot at all. He definitely gets that club coming in a little bit higher than it was at address. But the thing I want to point out here is his left hip. Like if we look at Freddie Couples and these guys, Freddie Couples' left hip, if you can see my cursor, Freddie Couples' left hip would move all the way over to where this caddy's leg is here. But I want to see how far Mr. Johnson goes. See there? He's hardly moved at all. This is the more modern pivot-driven swing that's that doesn't have the lateral push forward that so many of the classic swingers have. I talked about Thomas Peters recently, and he does not slide forward. So Dustin Johnson is swinging the club closer to that style. Very interesting. And if we go back a little bit, we're also going to see that very powerful straightening of the left leg. I feel he straightens his left leg a little bit more than I would want to see, but this is a power move. But he has the space, he has the flexibility that his arms and the club have plenty of room for him to pull this off. So I'd like to think of it as a young person's move. We all tend to lose a little bit of flexibility as we get older. But watch this drive hold move. That's that hold off release, where he's just holding that face square and he's just an animal, man. It's just so incredible. I'm really, really a fan of Dustin Johnson. So in this next swing, we're going to take a look at him from down the line. So if we look at his driver shaft here, we can see that the butt end of the handle is essentially pointing just above his belt buckle here. This club is going to come in on a much higher plane than the shaft plane that he's establishing here. And one thing that we're going to notice as well is his right hip is going to gain a pretty decent amount of depth. He's got some hip depth here. I like the bend in his knees, but as we watch him take the club back, we're going to see that right hip. Wow, so let's see how much that gained right there. So if you can see where my cursor is, yeah, his right hip is going to gain about 3 inches of depth, which is a very good thing, I believe, because that's going to help him to have enough space to bring this club in around his shoulder plane. So as he does his massive move towards the ball, I love how he squats. This is an important move for power. You got to keep flexing those legs, guys. Number one thing I see with people who send me their swings is they don't have any knee flex, or they have very little. I'm trying to gain more, and it's just a good thing to have. But here we see the bow in his left wrist. We can see that club face is pointed right at the sky, but the right hand is the hand that I want you to notice that he's got that club loaded in his right hand, like he's going to throw the club head through the ball. So as he comes down and rotates through the ball, that right hand is going to get ready to throw as that left hand is pulling. Now, he's already cleared his left hip. He's already opening up, which is way different than the video I just did about Ben Hogan. Ben Hogan waits until about this moment and is still square, and then he blasts open immediately in a fraction of a second. But Dustin Johnson is just turning the whole way, and his hips have already made it basically as far as they can go. So now the shoulders and hands are going to deliver the club, and we're going to notice that, like most modern players, this club is much more in line with his left shoulder and his left arm. So it's pointing way higher than it was when he had it at address. At address, it was much lower down towards his belt buckle. Hold off release, club pointing at the target. Ball just blasts. Now, Dustin Johnson does a great job of keeping his head down. And this is one of the reasons why he doesn't finish high on that left side. And boy, the flexibility to be young again. Yeah, that Ben, I find this pretty funny how he's got this curve here. But that's Dustin Johnson. What a great player. I'm a huge fan. You know, I think he walks around the course like a gunslinger. You know, just one of the coolest guys on tour, and how awesome is it that he rips the ball like, 350 whenever he needs a little extra. And it sure came in handy this last time around. I think Jordan Spieth, after some early stumbles, he played very admirably on the backside. But Dustin Johnson had to sink about a 25-footer for par on 18 in regulation to push a playoff, and then he pulled out the big guns. So I hope this helps you guys. Have fun, hit them long, and hit them straight.